I married Jared Knowlton after only knowing him for about 6 months. My parents, who I should note are my stepfather and mother, as my biological father was expelled from our family a long time ago for infidelity, my mother instilled a zero-tolerance policy against cheating in me from an early age. Thought I was being too impulsive. But at the age of 21, I believed I had it all figured out, so despite their advice, I tied the knot with Jared. To their credit, my parents were joyful during the wedding celebrations, while Jared's parents, who were in their mid-20s, appeared extremely nervous. However, I couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy when, during the reception, Jared's intoxicated sister cheerfully remarked, "I never thought he'd settle down." I was somewhat puzzled by her comment at the time and didn't pay much heed to it, but it stuck with me. For the first couple of years, Jared and I led a typical life of a young married couple. He was attentive in bed and protective when other guys bothered me, without being overly possessive. However, I noticed that he paid a bit more attention to the opposite sex's appearance than I was comfortable with. In the confrontations we had about this inclination, he assured me that I was his only true love and that he'd never, ever cheat like my biological father did. Among our acquaintances were Shark and Beverly Wilton, whom I knew from college and who lived in the nearby town. We'd met a few times in various social settings. Shark, whose real name was Clarence, somewhat lived up to his nickname. He was one of the coolest guys I'd ever met. He was gentle and helpful with his friends, but he was not someone to trifle with, especially when angered. This became apparent one night when the four of us were at a bar, and two large, aggressive guys started hitting on me and Beverly, while Shark and Jared were playing pool. Beverly called Shark for assistance, and he confronted the two troublemakers, instructing them to leave. One of the men pushed him. I'm not exactly sure how the guy ended up on the floor, but it happened quickly, and he didn't attempt to get back up. Another individual took a swing at Shark, but Shark grabbed his arm mid-swing, turned him, and delivered a series of blows. Shark tossed a $100 bill on the bar, saying, "For any damages," and urged Jared, Beverly, and me to leave, leaving the bartender to handle the situation with the two men. I visited Beverly at their apartment a few times over the course of about a year. After introducing Jared to Shark and Beverly, they invited us to their party one Saturday night for the first time. The party was delightful, with about 10 couples in attendance, 8 of them married, and 2 dating. Jared and I were having a pleasant conversation with a couple we'd just met when he and another guest engaged in a friendly dispute over baseball statistics. I wasn't really following the conversation closely, as I was more interested in chatting with my wife. However, I observed something peculiar. Jared did what he often did during arguments. He took out his smartphone, tapped a few buttons, and confidently stated, "Look, Tim, I was right. Mickey Mantle won the Triple Crown in 1956, including 52 homers." He then handed his phone to Tim. Suddenly, I felt lightheaded and unable to concentrate on the conversation. Why did I feel dizzy? Because, in order for Jared's phone to connect to the Wi-Fi in Shark and Beverly's apartment, one needed to know their password and log in, something I had to do the first time I visited Beverly. How could Jared's smartphone connect without any issue when he supposedly had never been there before? Without causing too much suspicion, I extricated myself from the conversation with Tim's wife, whose name I couldn't even remember, and went to the bathroom to splash some water on my face. I felt the need to investigate whether their Wi-Fi was password protected. It was highly improbable that they'd removed the password, as Shark worked in technology and was well aware of the potential consequences of someone abusing their Wi-Fi for illegal purposes. When Shark went into the kitchen to get more beer, I followed him. "Shark, a silly question, but is your Wi-Fi password protected?" I asked. Shark seemed somewhat puzzled by my inquiry. "Of course, Julia," he replied. "Why do you need to access it, or is something not working correctly?" "No," I said. "I registered a password when I was with Beverly at least 6 months ago. Has anything changed since then?" "No changes," Shark affirmed, his expression now somewhat concerned. "You look a bit pale, Julia. Is everything all right?" I should probably have taken a more nonchalant approach, given my knowledge of Shark, but I couldn't help myself. Would you be available for lunch on Monday? I inquired. The rest of the weekend felt like a blur. Jared inquired about what was bothering me, but I simply feigned being a bit dazed. I promised to see a doctor if I didn't feel better by Monday afternoon. Jared realized something was wrong when our intimacy on Saturday night was lackluster, as I am usually quite passionate. I considered canceling my lunch with Shark, but I knew he'd be better equipped to handle the situation. We arranged a quick meetup at a restaurant we'd frequented as a foursome before. After placing our orders, I mustered up the courage to ask the question that had been plaguing me. Jared was able to access your 1956 Mickey Mantle Triple Crown information without obtaining the password from you or Beverly, I stated. I know this because I was with him all the way before, which implies he had been in your apartment before. Have you ever seen him at your place? Shark's expression took on a sinister, calculating look. His eyes seemed to narrow, darkening as he partially exposed his teeth on one side of his mouth. No, he wasn't at our place, he muttered slowly. You understand technology? Can you conduct an investigation? I asked, my voice trembling. Yes, I can, he replied in an eerie tone. I cannot believe this. Then, after a moment of silence, his demeanor took a complete 180-degree turn. I'll let you know as soon as I find out anything, he said. For now, let's enjoy our lunch and talk about something else. Besides this matter, how did you like the party? In fact, I never heard back from Shark regarding Jared and Beverly. However, about 3 weeks after our lunch, I received a visit from the police. Mrs. Knowlton, asked the female officer who had come to the door, accompanied by a male officer. I'm Julia Bissell, I replied. I kept my maiden name, but I'm married to Jared Knowlton. May we come in? The female officer continued. I probably shouldn't have shared the Wi-Fi password incident with Shark. I should have conducted the investigation myself. Shark told the police that he had caught Jared and Beverly engaging in a sexual act in his home and had lost his temper. I didn't mean to hurt them. I just lost control. I visited Shark in prison on occasion. He knew he should have handled the situation differently, and I apologized to him, acknowledging that I should have taken action myself. I should have done the investigation on my own. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.